India is fighting within. The deadline is set, and the government has been working hard to penetrate deep inside the Red Corridor. There was a time in the late 90s and early years of the first decade of the new millennium when it spread across India's heartland. Chhattisgarh was the epicenter, and the footfall was marked in Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, West Bengal, and other adjoining states as well. They were the dreaded Naxals, and they were in a guerrilla war with the Indian administration. So much so that Indian security forces dared not enter deep in their territory. But all that has been changing steadily. The Red Corridor today is nearly reduced to red pockets.
31/3/2026 को पूरे देश से नक्सलवाद को हम समाप्त कर देंगे, समाप्त.
In this mission, November 2025 has proven to be a strong catalyst. In 2 days, top Naxal leaders were eliminated meticulously. On 18th November, dreaded Maoist commander Madvi Hidma, his wife and 4 others were fleeing from Chhattisgarh when they were surrounded by security forces in the Marudimili forest in Andhra Pradesh and killed in an encounter. The very next day, 7 more Maoists, including 4 men and 3 women, were killed in Andhra Pradesh. Among them was the dreaded tech Shankar, aka Meturu Jogarao, known within the organization for his skills in assembling improvised explosive devices.
This person was considered as an iconic figure in the South Bastar, and particularly that Bijapur Sukma area. And a lot of cadres were behind him and treating him as a icon. They were joining the movement. So probably after his departure, we may expect the reverse flow. We may expect a lot of surrenders, and definitely the joining would be stopping now.
On 19th November, the Andhra Pradesh police also arrested another batch of 50 Maoist cadres from 5 districts in a coordinated intelligence-led operation.
इस exchange of fire में security forces को एक बड़ी सफलता मिली है, जिसमें आंध्र प्रदेश उड़ीसा बॉर्डर प्रांत में एक्टिवली ऑपरेट करने के लिए जो छत्तीसगढ़ से भाग के माओइस्ट आंध्र प्रदेश में और आंध्र प्रदेश में एएसआर जिला में जो आ गए थे, उनमें उनकी लीडरशिप में जो मेट्टूरी जोगाराव अलियास टेक शंकर, उसको आज सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस ने सुबह एक्सचेंज ऑफ फायर में उसके साथ जो आए एओबी कार्डर में ऑपरेट करने के लिए, उनका इस एक्सचेंज ऑफ फायर में न्यूट्रलाइज करा गया. इस एक्सचेंज ऑफ फायर में टोटल 7 माओइस्टों का न्यूट्रलाइजेशन हुआ है.
India is now paving the way for endgame Red Terror. The heartland of India is dry, arid forest. The red soil leads to villages around these forests inhabited by tribals. Basic amenities of development are yet to reach each home in these villages. Puvarti is one such nondescript village in Chhattisgarh's Sukma region. Locating Puvarti on a map is a difficult task, yet it's infamous for the time being. All thanks to the death of one of its own, Madvi Hidma. He was 43 or 44 years old on 18 November morning when he was shot dead in an encounter with special forces.
हिडमा का पहले से डर नहीं, लेकिन बाकी नक्सली लोग मारेंगे करके डर है. अच्छा जी, मतलब हिडमा और फोर्स वाले लड़ना है, लेकिन हिडमा कोई गांव वालों को उतना दरी धमकी मारा, इतना नहीं किया। जी जी, लेकिन फोर्स के साथ बहुत लड़ा होगा।
अच्छा
जी, सब घटना उसी का ऊपर से आ रहा है ना। जी जी, फोर्स वालों को बहुत मारा होगा।
Madvi Hidma, also known as Hidmalu and Santosh, was a commander and the alleged mastermind of more than 24 deadly attacks on security forces. The most infamous of these was the 2010 Dantewada attack, where 76 CRPF personnel were killed in action. In the 2013 Jhiram Valley massacre, 27 people were killed, including top Congress leaders. In the 2021 Sukma Bijapur encounter, 22 security personnel were killed in action. These were the worst attacks. There were many more that he planned, led and executed. His wife Madkam Raje, also known as Raje or Rajakka, was his right hand and a teacher in the Mobile School of People's Liberation Guerrilla Army or PLGA. They were together when the Greyhounds encountered them in the Maradumili forest in Andhra Pradesh's East Godavari district. More than 250 kilometers away from this forest, in southern Chhattisgarh's Puvarti village, Madvi Hidma's family and neighbors mourn his death.
कोई देख के और पुलिस वाले और हिडमा के साथ खुद काम किए वाले अभी डीआरजी में है, उन लोग खुद कॉल करने के बाद हमको पता चला और हम लोग के भी मोबाइल चालू करने के बाद देखे हिडमा की कौन है करके, हमको भी उतना पता नहीं, लेकिन बड़े उम्र वाले 1, 2, 3 बार देखे वाले थोड़ा जान पहचान लिए, ये तो सही हिडमा है, लेकिन इसके साथ कितने लोग मरे हैं, इसके पत्नी मरा है और इनके साथ 2-4 लोग की कितना मरे।
Puvarti today is guarded by CRPF's 150th Battalion. Until a year back, it was impossible for anyone representing the state, uniformed or otherwise, to enter Puvarti without permission from the PLGA. Camps like Puvarti are designated forward operating bases for Indian security forces. They're the linchpin of the central government's multi-pronged strategy to rid India of the Naxal threat by next spring. There's a pregnant pause hanging around Puvarti after Madvi Hidma was killed.
In the aftermath of Madvi Hidma's death, we are here at a shiver near the police camp in Puvarti. We're trying to talk to the villagers about Hidma, the man who's most feared, and in fact he has left behind this entire region that lived in fear for decades. But despite repeated attempts, nobody is willing to talk. Not a word, not even a whisper. And the silence is not accidental. Even after his death, the fear of taking Hidma's name on camera still grips people. Some simply look away and some lower their gaze.
Inside Hidma's house in Puvarti, the atmosphere is a mix of grief and fear. His relatives are sobbing, some unable to even stand, but no one's willing to speak on camera. A few family members try to talk but break down mid-sentence. Others remain silent.
From Puvarti in Chhattisgarh to Alluri Sitaram Raju in Andhra Pradesh. In just 200 kilometers, this entire arc of Hidma's life envelops. This is that exact spot where everything began over 5 decades ago and to the place in Andhra Pradesh where it violently ended. Puvarti, the poverty-stricken village where he first picked up books, trying to understand a world far bigger than the one around him, a curiosity that the Maoist machinery later weaponized. And today, in these dense forests of Andhra Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, that very Hidma, the most wanted commander, who carried crores and crores of rewards on his head, was gunned down in a fierce battle with security forces. A life that looked vast and terrifying from the outside, but in reality it was just 200 kilometers journey between the child who wanted to read and who was born in this exact house that you're actually witnessing on your television screens, to the insurgent who answered only with bullets. This is where both his childhood and his story now lie buried.
In the late 1980s, Kondapalli Sitaramaya, leader of the People's War, dispatched Maoist squads to Khammam, Karimnagar, Warangal and Adilabad in present-day Telangana. Driven by Mao Zedong's belief that power flows from the barrel of a gun, the PW waged an armed struggle, extending operations across the Godavari to Gadchiroli in Maharashtra and Chhattisgarh's Bastar, aiming to establish guerrilla safe zones. Ramesh Badranna of the Dorla tribe lived in Pamed village in Bijapur district of Chhattisgarh. He joined the PW in 1987 as a 15-year-old, and over the years, he rose to become a guerrilla squad commander.
We are here in Jagdalpur, kilometers away from Puvarti, where Hidma's story began, and kilometers away from that very spot where his life was ended in Andhra Pradesh. I have come to a man who lives in a quiet neighborhood and in fact who surrendered back in the 2000. And he now lives a very stable, peaceful life whose decision certainly changed the entire course of Bastar's history. I have come to Badranna, who definitely surrendered, but he is the man who inducted Hidma into the Naxal forces. And in fact, right now, as you witness his life and his house is quite peaceful. I would request my video journalist Raghavendra to pan the camera and show the kind of life that he has been living since his days of surrender. He surrendered back in the 2000, and today he and his wife live like ordinary government servants.
At 53, Ramesh Badranna has seen it all. What started as an ideologue's journey to bring social justice through guns ended in surrender and then a jail term of more than a year. Ramesh Badranna and his wife refused to divulge Naxal network details. Once released, they were given 10,000 rupees under the surrender policy.
आज भी अत्याचार है, भ्रष्टाचार है, ये सब चल रहा है। ये यदि आपको कंट्रोल में रहे, गवर्नमेंट नहीं लेगी तो ये नहीं करेगा तो नक्सलेट खत्म करने से नहीं होगा। समस्या है, समस्या का थ्रू ही वो जन्म हुआ था। नक्सलेट अलग से कहाँ से विदेश में जन्म होकर नहीं हुआ था, इसी भारत में गोद में जन्म होकर आया था नक्सलबाड़ी में। तो अपन ऐसी कैसे बोल सकते कि उन लोग खत्म हो जाएगा, समस्या खत्म है। आपको समस्या असली समस्या परिष्कार करो वो अपने आप खत्म हो जाएगा। तो मैं तो सोचता हूँ समाज में बदलाव लाओ, समाज में जब समाज में सुधार नहीं आएगा तब देश का प्रति नहीं होगा, ना समाज का प्रति नहीं।
Roughly 50 kilometers from Pamed village in Puvarti, Ramesh Badranna spotted a sharp, intelligent teenager, Madvi Hidma. As one of the top recruiters of his party, Badranna inducted Hidma in the Red Fold and was his mentor.
पहले स्टार्टिंग में मिलिट्री में जाने के कारण में उसको ज़्यादा मिलिट्री का अनुभव ज़्यादा मिला। उसको डायरेक्ट बारूद बनाने में, हथियार बनाने में, सब करने में वो माहिर था, इसलिए आज इतना बड़ा नाम कमाया। लेकिन वास्तव में मेरा नज़र में मेरे लिए छोटा है वो, मैं मेरा सदस्य रूप मानूंगा, लेकिन वो सीख गया बेचारा।
There was a rehabilitation plan which groomed Ramesh Badranna and his wife to become government servants of today. He works with the municipal corporation, while Lataka is with the police force.
मेरे को पुलिस में भर्ती करने के लिए ज़्यादा प्रेशर बनाया था कि मैं नहीं करूँगा। तो 8 साल होने के बाद मेरे नगर निगम में नौकरी लगा था। जब सलवा जुड़ूम हो गए तो हमारे मैडम को उसमें एसपीओ में भर्ती किया था। आज मेरा जीवन ही है कि आज का जीवन का वो जीवन को बोल रहे थे कि मेरा उच्च विचारधारा से बोलूँगा, तो ये व्यक्तिगत रूप से अच्छा है।
208 members of Abujmad Maoist division of PLGA surrendered in Narayanpur in October this year. 110 women and 98 men surrendered 153 weapons, including 19 AK-47 rifles and 17 SLR rifles.
सीसी और एसजेडसी का जो विफलता है उससे बचने के लिए हमने इस किस्म का कुछ लोगों के ऊपर आरोप लगाओ, बस वहाँ से पार हो जाएंगे। आगे होने वाले नुकसानों के लिए भी शायद होने से हमें ही जिम्मेदारी ठहराते होंगे। क्या करेंगे उसके लिए तो तैयार रहेंगे, लेकिन कॉमरेड्स अभी भी आप लोग सोचना चाहिए, देश के जनता क्या मांग रहे, क्या सोच रहे, ये सब ध्यान में रखते हुए आप लोग सही निर्णय लेने का उम्मीद करते हैं।
In Maharashtra, on 14th October, the senior-most guerrilla leader, Malujula Venugopal Rao, alias Sonu Bhupati, surrendered at the Gadchiroli police headquarters with 62 cadres. The 69-year-old Central Committee powerhouse and Politburo firebrand had earlier appealed for a truce, and the surrender indicated an end to the era of red terror in the Gadchiroli district. The tide has been turning in the past year or so, as the union government, under the leadership of the Prime Minister, has gained the upper hand in the fight against the arch enemy of the state, the Naxals, shrinking the threat to a much smaller amoebic blob of red, confined largely to the Bastar region of Chhattisgarh. But the fiercest battles are still on, with a deadline to win it. When the peace formula doesn't work, the security forces carry out relentless search operations and then encounter. A day after Madvi Hidma was killed, on 19 November, Koratla was quiet as the rumour of Devji being killed in the encounter spread. That morning, Shankar and 6 others were killed in an encounter in Andhra Pradesh's Alluri Sitarama Raju district. Tippiri Tirupati, aka Devji, carries a reward of 6 crore rupees and is the mastermind of over 131 major Red Terror attack incidents. His family vehemently denied any news of his death and repeatedly hoped that he too would follow the path of peace and lay down his gun.
నా పేరు తిప్పిరి గంగాధరు, మాది కోరుట్ల, ఉమ్మడి కరీంనగర్ జిల్లా కోరుట్ల. దేవ్జీ తిప్పిరి తిరుపతి అలియాస్ దేవ్జీ మా సొంత అన్నయ్య. దాని గురించి ఈరోజు రకరకాల ఊహాగానాలు మీడియాలో పోలీస్ అదుపులో ఉన్నాడు దేవ్జీ అని, కొన్ని ఛానళ్లలో ఎన్కౌంటర్ అయినని వార్తలు వస్తున్నాయి. ఈ వార్తలు వినడం ద్వారా మేము బాగా కలత చెందుతున్నాము, ఆందోళనకు గురవుతున్నాము. పోలీసులు కానీ ప్రభుత్వాలు కానీ నక్సల్స్ ఎవరైనా ఉంటే వాళ్ళు జనజీవన స్రవంతిలో కలవాలి, మేము వారిని ఆహ్వానిస్తున్నామని చెప్తున్నారు. వాళ్ళు నిజంగానే దేవ్జీ కనుక పోలీస్ అదుపులో ఉంటే అతన్ని కోర్టులో హాజరుపరచాలని నేను రిక్వెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను. తను ఇంటికి రావాలని కోరుకుంటున్నాను.
సుమా, తిప్పిరి తిరుపతి అలియాస్ దేవ్జీ తమ్ముడు కూతురు నేను. నిన్నటి నుండి న్యూస్లో ఎన్కౌంటర్ విషయాలు వస్తున్నాయి. ఇవాళ దాంట్లో తిరుపతి కూడా ఉన్నారు అనే న్యూస్ అటు ఇటుగా వస్తుంది. అది ఎంతవరకు నిజం అబద్ధం అనేది మాత్రం తెలియదు మాకు. ఒకవేళ పెద్ద నాన్న కనుక పోలీస్ ఆధీనంలో ఉంటే కోర్టులో హాజరుపరచాలని కోరుకుంటున్నాము. అలా కాకుండా ఒకవేళ ఎక్కడైనా షెల్టర్ తీసుకొని ఆయన్ని భద్రంగా ఉండాలి అనుకుంటే ఎలా అయినా మాకు ఒక చిన్న ఇంటిమేషన్ ఇచ్చినా కానీ మేము వెళ్ళి తీసుకొచ్చుకోవడానికి రెడీగా ఉన్నాము. ఎన్నో ఏళ్ళుగా ఎదురు చూస్తున్నాము. ఆయన వచ్చేస్తే చాలా బాగుంటుందని కోరుకుంటున్నాం. ఆయన ప్రాణాలకు ఎలాంటి హాని కలగద్దు అని చాలా బలంగా ఆయన ఫ్యామిలీ మెంబర్స్ కోరుకుంటున్నారు. ఆయన బాగానే ఉంటారని కూడా నమ్ముతున్నాం.
The morning after one of the top Maoist leaders, Madvi Hidma, was killed, tension and anxiety gripped the village of Koratla as rumours began to spread that yet another top Maoist leader, Tippiri Tirupati alias Devji, had also been neutralised, among the several others including Shankar and others who had been neutralised by the special forces in the Naxal operation.
In the past 20 years alone, 2,344 security personnel have lost their lives fighting Naxals. It's more than 4 times the number of Indian Army personnel killed in the 1999 Kargil War. In fact, more armed personnel have died fighting Naxals than battling terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. The civilian toll is higher. In 2 decades, 6,258 people have been killed in Naxal attacks. As per ORF research, Naxalism in India at its peak in mid-2000s had a dominating presence in over 200 districts of the country. But that's reduced significantly in the past 2 decades. In 2013, 126 districts from different states reported Naxal-related violence. But by March 2025, this tally had fallen to just 18 districts. By November, that number was reportedly reduced to 11 districts. Incidents of violence by left-wing extremism, which reached its highest level of 1,936 in 2010, have reduced to just 374 in 2024. That's a reduction of 81%. The total number of deaths of both civilians and security forces has also reduced by 85% during this period, from 1,005 deaths in 2010 to 150 in 2024. But the war isn't over yet.
सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस खासतौर पर DRG, बस्तर फाइटर, STF, कोबरा, CRPF, BSF, ITBP, SSB, छत्तीसगढ़ आर्म पुलिस, हम अन्य तमाम जो एजेंसीज है, सुरक्षात्मक कारणों से मैं कुछ एजेंसीज का नाम नहीं ले पा रहा है, लेकिन सबका एक इंटीग्रेटेड और कोऑर्डिनेटेड एफर्ट रहा, जिसके कारणवश वर्ष 2024 और 25 हमारे लिए काफ़ी निर्णायक रहा। इस अवधि में देखा जाएगा टोटल 450 माओवादी कैडर का डेड बॉडी अलग अलग मुठभेड़ में रिकॉर्ड किए गए थे, उनमें से सबसे बड़ा नाम ये भी रहा।
Families of Naxalites killed in encounters of 18th and 19th November gathered at Andhra Pradesh's Rampachudavaram area hospital to collect dead bodies. Madvi Hidma's sister-in-law and cousins came to collect his and his wife's bodies. Madvi Hidma followed Ramesh Badrana into the path of left-wing extremism. But he didn't steer his life away from this path, following his mentor's example. With his death, mission endgame for Red Terror seems to be in its last leg.